YouTube, Wolfville Development. This is my 220th weekly update. Representing Trending Strongman. Get the shirt in the shot. There we go. That's how you lift up a shirt. Yeah, Trending Strongman. I think that was one of Nate's more ambitious projects. All that being said, this week went, okay. Yeah, this is the second week of my revised new programming. Other than feeling like shit all week, not because of my training, it went pretty well. I hit all the numbers I was planning on hitting. Bench is getting much more consistent. I feel like I've hit a good groove there. Press as well is doing better. I talked about increasing my range of motion on the press because in the past I was getting to a bit of a habit of sort of stopping the bar right here around my chin, and now I'm going basically touching my collarbone on every rep. Some reps I'm dead stopping them. Some reps are a little more of a spring, which is fine in my opinion. I don't mind using the rebound if I'm dying under a particular weight. For instance, this week 145 for, I want to say it was 3 or 4 sets of them. You'll have to check out my video on Wednesday to confirm, and so would I. Regardless, I did end up using a little bit of a spring on each one of those near the later sets because it's just to the point where if I dead stopped, I wouldn't have had the strength to get through the motion again. And at this particular point with that particular weight, I wanted to make sure that I got every rep as clean as I could, regardless of if it was a bounce, as long as it wasn't a push press. That's all I was concerned about. Now, on the lighter days, which is usually my Fridays, a lighter day for me for pressing, I dead stop as much as I possibly can. It's a challenging habit to break when you get into sort of the habit of using the rebound out of the bottom of a press, kind of like on a bench. Sort of getting into the habit of pausing every rep can be sort of challenging to do. Kind of retraining your muscles and your mind. But I like the idea of having the variety because I feel like it's makes me more stable. And it will make me more stable. I've noticed it, especially on my bench for, let's say, paused reps. You know, I can pause 275 for one, no problem. But then touch and go, I've hit all the way up to like 300 something. So the transfer is pretty nice there. And what I'm aiming for is basically for it to do the same thing on my overhead press, where if I'm down here all the way in the bottom and I can strict it, you know, let's say 8 reps of 115, in my mind that'll translate to, let's say I can just kind of start it here and then bring it down, even work on that little spring, just that little bit, somewhere in the, you know, 160s, 170s, and then that'll turn into a push press of even more. That's my plan anyway. We'll see how that goes. I have something in my finger, so I'm going to take a little tape I just found on my dresser, and I'm going to try to get something out of my finger because I think it's a piece of embedded fiberglass and or metal. Pro tip, use tape to get that stuff out of your fingers and your hands if you're working around that stuff and it gets stuck in there. Because it really hurts. I don't know what it is, but did the trick. Anyway, off base, off topic. Squats this week went pretty rough, honestly, and I think part of it was because I went a little bit stronger on the deadlifts this week. Went, well, a little heavier anyway. I don't know about stronger, but I was relatively happy with how most of them went. Added a little bit more of actual volume to my deadlifts, not even so much as the weight, just some more reps at particular weights is what I was going for this week. And it's worked on my bench press, so I'm looking for it to work on my deadlift as well. Something along the lines, for example, instead of just doing like 2 reps at 170 and then going for every single, I'll do 5 sets of 2 at 270, you know, and that adds a lot more volume at a particular weight, which would, you know, get my body sort of used to that heavier weight and used to feeling that kind of weight on me. And it's going to translate better to bigger weights, hopefully. We'll see. We'll find out. All that being said, I may even change up my programming again. I got the opportunity, had some time today, and finally read through a couple of training books that I had just sort of sitting around that I never got around to flipping through and reading and, sort of absorbing the ideas. And it gave me some new ideas for training and programming styling and stuff like that. So I'm going to go through all that again this weekend now that I have some real good time to sit down and truly absorb all of it and see what I can figure out. And I might end up changing it all over again. But we'll see. I don't like to switch programs that early in. I like to sort of ride things out for the foreseeable plan. Even if it's one I've made, of course. I want to see if it worked, and then I can, all right, well, that worked. That didn't work. What can we change to make this work better? That kind of thing. I think a tip I read somewhere, I wish I could remember the source. It wasn't my idea, but I read it somewhere. It was basically like if you have a program that worked for for 6 weeks, give or take. It's a good window there. 4 weeks, almost anything will work for you. But like 6 weeks, if it worked, and then it stops working after that, you rinse and repeat, and it still doesn't work. Don't change everything about it. Just change like one thing. You have to have a constant. If you're looking at something scientifically, if you change 4 variables, you'll never know exactly what caused the proper change that you were looking for. So it's scientific to think, let's just change one variable at a time. If that fixes the problem, well, that was it. And then, even then, 6 weeks later, it might stop working. Well, what can we change now? Maybe we change the same variable. Maybe we change something else, whether it's reps at a particular percentage or days that you train X and Y together, or even just something as simple as, your accessory movements, which I'm proud of myself. I was able to get through a lot of my accessory movements that I planned out this week, which is like yay for me. Normally, I'll be honest, I've been pretty lazy the last couple cycles and just sort of just doing my heavies. Excuse me, or I should say my primaries. And then just letting the accessories, like, that's fine. But I think I found a good little mix where it was like, I made my accessories a little too ambitious before, and now I've made them a little more manageable. And I think that was what was able to get me to sort of stick to them throughout this week. Save today. Today was just a rough day for me, and it just didn't pan out. I think the weather change kind of messed me up too. But that's no excuse. It just is what it is. We just gotta keep trying to do better week by week, day by day, hour by hour, all that good shit. And it, compounds and all that good stuff. So if you're not compounding, then what's your excuse?